Welcome to the Bald Truth Leadership Podcast, a place where you get the straightforward, no nonsense, no holds barred ideas on leadership and growth, both personally and professionally. The Bald Truth is brought to you by the Peak Performance Group. I'm your host, Coach Rick Colster, certified executive business coach and chief coaching officer for the Peak Performance Group, where we help people and organizations align and maximize their potential. Folks, today, our guest is one of the world's top economic experts and a true leader in her own right. She's held leadership positions as a naval officer for over 20 years and even went back and taught at my favorite school, the United States Naval Academy, and, well, the Air Force Academy, where she currently teaches, and Hawaii Pacific University. That's just a few. This resume is long. She's probably, I'll say, one of the smartest, and her friends say she's pretty funny too. So I have to agree. Her resume is a list of accomplishments that they're longer than both my arms. I got to tell you here. Navy officer, Ph.D., renowned economist, Hall of Fame speaker. We're going to touch on that. So today we welcome our friend, my friend, Dr. Mary Kelly to the Bald Truth. Welcome to the Bald Truth, Mary.
Hey, Coach Rick, I'm excited to be here with you today. We have a lot to talk about.
I know. We've got so much fun stuff happening here. We've been friends for a while. And I've watched your career and I've been seeing what you blow me away every time, because she is truly, I think, one of the funniest people out there.
So when I first started speaking, like in front of people, it was in the Navy, and I always got downgraded. They were like, Ensign Kelly, do not try to be funny. This is not about being funny. I'm like, well, but this is boring stuff. Can't we spice up? Minus 10 points. Do not try to make things funny. So I was always trying to make things funny. And, you know, in the military, there's not a big sense of humor for things like that when you're talking about, I don't know, terrorism.
I know. Well, yeah, let's talk about that. You've been, as I said in your intro, your resume is long. I mean, you've got a bunch of disciplines that you've got expertise in: HR, logistics, intelligence, security. And I aren't you best known for your comedy? No, wait a minute. No, that's economics, right?
So sadly, I get up every single morning and I look at about 3 hours of economic data every single day of my life. Once I realized that it's economics, it's not love that makes the world go round, I thought I should probably get smart on that. I went to school for public policy. I wanted to be the mayor of a small town when I got out of the Navy. Turns out I don't actually want to be the mayor. I don't like running for office. What I want to do is tell the mayor and the governor and the state senators and the congresspeople what to do. I'm much better in that role. And as that, I became an economist. That's what my PhD is in. And I do get up every single morning and look at economic data so that I can translate it and what it means into what my leaders need.
Okay, so let's talk about leadership. What is it that makes good leaders? What's your take on good leaders? Because you're an expert in leadership as well. What's your take on good leaders? What makes a good leader?
So for every single person, if you ask them what they need from their leader, you're going to get a different answer. And this is why most people, when they say, what is good leadership? They're all going to have different answers. My personal view on that is a great leader is the person who can get people to take the right action at the right time. Now that sounds really simple, except one person's idea of doing the right thing at the right time is not going to be the same person's idea, another person's idea of doing the right thing at the right time. So you can hire somebody who's got 15 years of food industry experience, and then they go to work at the Ritz-Carlton. Well, guess what? They're going to go serve meals at the Ritz-Carlton, but their 15 years of experience had a lot to do with a drive-through and a lot of paper bags. So they don't always know the nuances of the right thing, even though they have great experience. And this is what leaders need to understand. Leadership is individual to the receiver. It is like communication. If you've ever had an argument with your wife or your spouse or your partner or somebody, Never, I know. You think, well, they should have known what I meant. You're thinking about the intent. But the people closest to us, we still miscommunicate with them. We still have those arguments. And then we wonder, well, why in the world is that the case? Well, wait a second. You miscommunicate with your spouse who's going to call you on it. But at work, when you say something, people just go, okay. And they're not sure what you mean, but they're going to try to interpret what you mean. And this is why miscommunications and misunderstandings in the workplace cost billions of dollars a year. So when we think about great leadership, we have to think about how that leadership or how that style or how that communication or how that direction is being received by the receiver. And if they're not getting it, leaders understand it's their fault. It is not the receiver's fault. It is their fault for not doing a better job communicating what needs to be done at the right time.
See, we're singing from the same hymnal here. Because I truly believe that the number one issue in any business is a lack of communication. If there's challenges, if there's problems, and it doesn't matter if it's on the production line, doesn't matter if it's in the executive office, if it's on the sales front, it's a lack of communicating what everyone wants, and they're not on the same page. And like I said, we're singing from the same hymnal here. And it's like, if I don't communicate properly, if my message, what I want you to know, is not received the way I meant it to be received by you, we didn't have it. There was zero communication. Did not happen. And I'll tell people that all the time. It just didn't happen.
Or worse, it's misinterpreted. So
Yeah.
I was working with a steel company. And they're wonderful people, but they're siloed. So ops wasn't talking to other ops, and sales wasn't talking to marketing, and sales wasn't talking to operations. And then in steel companies, there's the people who cut the big pieces, and then there's people who refine them into little pieces. Well, we were losing hundreds of thousands of dollars because of the cutting process. Well, it turns out the person in charge of the cutting hadn't actually, because there was some personal conflict there, they hadn't actually been talking in years. So here's the problem. The cutters were all cutting 6-foot pipe. But on the current project that had been going on for 3 months, they needed 5 feet, 10 inches. So every single time we had to cut the pipe, it had to be trimmed down. And I'm talking months worth of work redone. So I said, well, why didn't we just go back to the cutters and say, cut off another 2 inches? And they're like, because we don't talk to them. You gotta be kidding me. So they would go over to the finishers who would dutifully like cut off the extra 2 inches. And so there was this extra process built in because leadership weren't talking to each other. And this is a lot of times where I think people get confused. People think, oh, my leadership is my leader to me. No, there's also peer-to-peer leadership. There is also peer and up leadership. There's that loyalty up, loyalty down idea that you and I are very familiar with, but you've also got to work with your peers. And that cross functionality means looking at the process really hard and saying, okay, what can we do to make this better? And some people, we talk about mindset all the time, and I know you've got a couple of questions on that, but mindset for leaders has to be optimistic. My co-author on the book, Why Leaders Fail, and the 7 Prescriptions for Leadership Success, he made the point, and he said, a leader does not have the option of losing hope. And I think that's so critical right now, because as leaders, not only do we have to have this mindset of where we're going, but we've also got to help other people see what it is we're doing. And I take that in a slightly different way. I say leaders have to be optimistic. And according to the APA, optimism isn't sunshine, rainbows, sparkles, and unicorns. That's not optimism. Because that's fantasy land. Nobody cares about that. But an optimist looks at a situation and says, you know what, I can make that better. And this is where leaders have to not just be great at the personal side and the personnel side and the communication side. They also have to look hard at the process side and say, how can we make this better? Because when you talk to your people, they might be frustrated by your leadership, but they're really frustrated by processes that don't work.
Well, I believe you're so nailed dead on. It's how do we make people better? One of my mantras that I tell everybody, in fact, it's on my own challenge coin. Be the person that makes your people better.
And I say, be the person your dog thinks you are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you've got 2 great dogs, right? 2 beautiful dogs.
I have 2 very dumb dogs. They're very sweet, but wow, they're dumb. My older dog the other day decided to go run in the yard, which is all open. We don't have fences here in Colorado. And she surprised a mama deer who was very upset that my 30-pound dog was disrupting her 400-pound twin babies and charged my dog.
Wow.
So my 30-pound dog, who is not a brave dog, is like, "Arr, arr, arr." I was like, oh my God. So I like charge the deer and like I bump into the deer. I was like, you are a very bad deer. Get away from my dog. And I scoop my dog up and the deer is like, I'm going to charge you, lady. And I was like, I know, but this is my dog. And it crossed my mind that if more leaders were that protective of their people, and protective in the best possible sense, is that they would guard them against threats to their security and their mindset. And right now, this is this just was a nice way for me to incorporate the dogs into my story. That a lot of folks right now are feeling a sense of stress and uncertainty. And we as leaders have to tackle that danger head on.
Wow. And you're right. If more leaders would take up for their people, and that's it. And I love it. I'm a little nervous about you for chasing deer right now, but
yeah,
you're
because
charging mama deers.
Yeah, they do have the horns out here, and she went after my dog, and I'd never seen that. I have deer and bears and coyotes in the yard and all that stuff. And I charged her back. I was like, and then I stood there scolding, you are a very bad deer. I feed you. I am nice to you. And my 30-pound dog was no danger to your babies. And you just need to back off. She's standing there going, I'm not afraid of you. And but it made me feel better. And my poor little dog was shaking. I checked her. She's totally fine. But right now is a time of high stress. You and I both love acronyms. It's a military thing. And I use the term lost, a sense of loneliness. Many people, I've been using this for years, but now it's especially prevalent. Many people are feeling a sense of loneliness, disenfranchisement, whatever that word is. They're disengaged. They just feel as though they're kind of out of it because maybe they're working from home. Maybe they're doing remote work. Maybe they're having to homeschool their kids. And this has caused them to not feel as though they are part of a bigger and better purpose. So leaders have to give people that purpose and remind them of that purpose. People are also the O, of course, is opportunities lost. I don't know about you, but I have not learned Spanish in COVID. I have not learned to play the guitar. I have not, cooked healthy meals every single night. You know what my dinner was last night. It was wine with cheese. No, there's been no gourmet meals. There's been no cooking classes. There's been none of that. But this idea of opportunities lost, because a lot of people focus on the things they haven't done instead of the things they have done. So yeah, in COVID, I didn't learn Spanish or play the guitar, but I cranked out 2 books. But I don't think about that. None of us do. We always think about the things we didn't do because it's so easy to compare yourself to other people, especially on social media, especially in different communities. If everybody's life was as great as they say it is on Facebook, that would be fantastic, but that's just not true. And then people are feeling that S, which is stress, because uncertainty for prolonged periods of time has the same physiological effects that a chronic illness has on you. You're stressed. Your body is operating at a higher degree of stress. Your body is producing more cortisol, and that can cause all kinds of problems if you're not burning it off. And in the unfair part of the world, Rick, men burn cortisol 10 times faster than women, which is why when you have an argument with your wife, you go right to sleep and she's still mad for 3 hours and cannot sleep. I'm just saying.
Hours, days, weeks.
See, because we just can't burn the cortisol off as fast as you men. We're so jealous. And then the T is
so much sense.
I know there's so many things that make sense. And then there's, of course, the time that for many people, they realize that life is a finite number of unknown minutes and we have to make the most of them. But sometimes making the most of them means sitting on the TV with your dog in your lap, and that's okay. So that idea of being lost, I think, is more prevalent than ever.
You're so right on that, and we have to be conscious about what we're doing, especially in this time, this COVID, this locked up. We've been locked up for 10 years, feels like. But so what are some of the things that we have done? Like you said, you cranked out 2 books. I barely read 2 books in my lifetime. Are you kidding me? It's but what I started doing is, and I'm a physical person, so I started a workout. I've been walking 4 miles a day since January. I started in January. I'm down 20 pounds, so I'm feeling good. But that's my way of managing it. Is I'm very physical in that sense. But I also started listening to audiobooks when I'm walking. So now I'm listening to books. I didn't read them. I just listened to them.
Oh,
And it's
I
like,
love audiobooks.
they're great. And there's some great books on mindset. Matter of fact, I'm reading one from a Navy SEAL, David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, on
Mhm.
mindset, on what does it take. Now, he's a little gruff, and over the top. Now,
He uses some colorful language,
you think? He
which
said,
I personally appreciate, but not everybody will.
yeah, I saw something say, he said, people say I talk like a sailor. They said, no, I am a sailor. You talk like me. I'm a role model. So now I'm a role model. But yeah, so he talked about mindset because he had to go through buds 3 times.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Just shoot me in the face. I mean, once is enough for those that know. Buds is what the SEAL training is, that puts them through hell week for 5 days of getting their butts kicked.
And it's months before leading up to that. That's
Oh,
what people
and months after as well. That's just that, that 1 week. So thinking about the mindset for leaders to have is we've got to have that. And I love that you touched on hope. And hope is always one of those things. And I heard John Maxwell talk about it years ago. He said, when I used to counsel couples, and relationship, it's similar, whether it's a personal relationship with your significant other or at work. It's a relationship. If there's no hope in that relationship, the relationship is doomed. If you don't have
right.
hope at work, I believe in this person. Yeah, I hope we can fix this. Or they just go, nope, it's broken. Screw it. I'm done. It's fight or flight, and I'm out of here. But if they
And
have hope, then
right.
there's a possibility.
Right. And my version of hope is determined hope. It's not
Ooh,
just,
like it.
I hope we can fix this. No, I am determined that we can fix this. It is not just, oh, okay, I hope things get magically better. That to me is a very passive way of looking at things. Like, I hope the weather improves. Like, you don't have anything to do with it. I am determined to change the weather. Okay, that's a little delusional, but I can always control how I respond to the weather. Like, we had 9 or 10 inches of snow here in Colorado. And while I'm not the person out shoveling snow, this is how I look at it is, this is a marvelous way for me to help the economy by paying someone to clear my driveway. And that is good. That is positive. But I get to control the situation. I get to determine what happens next. And this is where people need their leaders to step up. In times of uncertainty, we're going to follow somebody. And if you're not stepping up to provide the right leadership, we're going to follow somebody else, and they may be idiots. They may be going in a whole different direction. So leaders need to not be afraid to step up. And you've certainly seen this in any group of people. There's the positional leader, but then there are other leaders. And if the positional leader is weak, other leaders will fill that vacuum. And some of them are great. And some of them have the positional leader's goals, intent, and vision in mind, and they're aligned with those goals, but other people do not. And they're working actively against the organization, but people will follow them in the absence of real positional leadership. So we as leaders, we need to have hope. We need to be positive. We need to be optimistic. We need to be looking at things saying, I can make that better. But it's also incumbent upon us to make it happen. We don't just get to sit there and say, oh gosh, I hope the weather gets better. I hope it doesn't snow 10 more inches today. Oh, that's so passive. It's so just throw up your hands and hope everything happens for the best. That drives me nuts, because that's no way to live your life. And it's certainly no way to lead people.
I love that. I use the analogy of, you go in your garden and you're trying to grow this great garden. And I garden every year, and we've got tomatoes and jalapenos and peppers and strawberries and all these great things. But if you look at your garden and you go, man, I got to get rid of the weeds in my garden. And you go, no weeds, no weeds, no weeds, no weeds. But you never pick the damn weeds. They're going to have weeds. You can't just do it here. Think about it. You have to actually take action. And that's really about setting goals, putting together an action plan to do that as a leader. What is it as a leader to take yourself and go, now, here's a great idea. Let's implement it. Let's make it happen. Let's make it real. And that's where I think leaders can really shine, is that implementation stage, the ones that get stuff done. That bottom line, leaders get stuff done.
Leaders get stuff done. And so I wanted to just mention to your listeners that I'm all about the getting of the stuff done. But many people get stuck, and you wake up in the morning and you look at your computer, and the first thing you do is look at your emails. Now, first, a couple things. Someone else's email is tasking you. It's a task. They're assigning you work to do, and they're sucking up your time. So you've got to be very deliberate about how you do that. And yes, you and I both know we can't miss certain emails, but I use a way of triaging my emails so that the 500 or 600 emails I get a day don't overwhelm my email box. And so I've got some very specific ways to handle that. But the other thing is every single day in my life, I do a productivity sheet. And so
I love that.
So I have this every single day. And then I also have my other productivity sheet. So my productivity day, it's the calls to make, it's the follow-up, it's the to-do, and it's the appointments. And then I also, every week, I do the weekly productivity plan. And the magic for this is breaking down jobs I kind of don't want to do. They got to get done sometime this week.
Okay.
But the idea is to break it down in minutes. And here's what that does. It shifts the mindset. And this is all about the mindset. When you look at a task like organize my tax papers for 2020, I don't want to do it. Well, I'm an economist and I like money. I like macro stuff, like spending big money, fiscal policy, monetary policy, all those big things. And I wrote a personal finance book, which is very micro. I don't like doing my own taxes. That's what accountants do. Mary's an economist, not an accountant. But I go, oh, I really need to do that. I delay it. And so I write it down on my action list and I say, wow, in time and minutes, it's going to take me 48 minutes. 48 minutes. And I've been delaying this and procrastinating on this and thinking about it and dreading it. And it's only going to take me 48 minutes. So then the little voice in my head, get off your butt, get this done. But I don't want to. I don't care what you want, but I really don't want to. I don't care. Get some coffee, sit your butt in the chair, 48 minutes. Okay. So that's kind of the conversation in my head. And it's anything you don't want to do. It's, let's say you want to start walking and you're like, but I don't want to, I don't have the right thing. Just start for 5 minutes. Put it down on your list and say, walk for 5 minutes.
That's right.
Clean out a drawer. How long is it going to take? 15 minutes. I don't want to do it. Well, write it down. How many minutes is it actually going to take you? 15 minutes. Okay. Well, what if it takes longer? Well, work faster. So there's always a way to overcome this. So if I want to clean out a drawer and I really kind of don't want to, I'll put clean out a drawer, but you got to do it in 15 minutes. Yep. And then I look at the clock and go, okay, you better work fast. It's all about capturing your time, making sure you're accomplishing what's important to you, what's important to the organization, and getting the right things done, which means, again, having the priorities, having the daily plan so that you don't just walk in and waste a day. We've all done it. And I certainly see it, especially when I work with, say, real estate agents, insurance agents, financial planners. They walk into their office and they're like, oh, nobody called me and said they wanted to hire me today. What shall I do? And then they waste time. I'm like, no, see, if you don't have a plan for the day and you don't have a plan for the week, you're going to waste time because your brain kind of likes being lazy. Your brain kind of goes, yeah, we can just hang out in the office and pretend to work. That's not really very focused, and it doesn't really accomplish much.
I believe we can't have a void. There can't be there. When you have that, that's a void, and a void will fill itself.
It will.
You'll find something to fill that void. If there's no work, no one hires you, no one calls you to buy a house or, invest their money for the financial planner and the real estate agent, you're going to find something to do to fill that void. And it's usually non-productive. It's stupid stuff. You'll be on Facebook going, let me see what all those people I really don't care about are doing and how great their lives are. Oh my gosh, look at, they put a picture up from 4 years ago when they went to Bali or Tahiti, or wow, they look really cool. They're just trying to live their own best life in their own minds to fool everybody else. Really not. Right. They're probably doing the same thing, being unproductive there. So, and talking about leadership in here, when we talk about leadership, we talk about the getting it done, but at the same time, it's also, and Eisenhower had a quote, it's getting people to do things you want done because they want to do it. Right. One of my favorite leadership quotes in the world, Dwight Eisenhower. Leadership is the art of getting someone to do something you want done because they want to do it. So it's about empowering people and getting them, as you said, buy-in, purpose, and action behind it all. So if we can do that, I think those are some of the things that really leaders can take to the bank, so to speak.
I totally agree. And there's so much stuff out there. There's so much chaff. Chaff, as you know, in the military is a distraction. So if
Sure.
you're in a jet and there's a missile locked onto you, the first two things that pop into your brain, not happy birthday, by the way, and all of a sudden you realize I've got to take evasive maneuvers, and chaff is part of those evasive maneuvers. So for the civilians who don't really understand the concept of chaff, think about a great big hefty bag, and instead of being filled with sawdust, it's little bitty tiny metal shavings, and you can deploy the chaff and it releases this big cloud of metal shavings in the air, and the missile gets in the middle of this magnetic signature that's all metal, and it says, oh, this must be the plane. I should blow up here, and it blows up while you fly away. Chaff. Chaff is a distraction. We as leaders have to be really mindful of all the distractions going on in people's lives. And I know right now when I'm doing more and more virtual programs, it's very different from when I'm on stage. When I'm on stage, I've got you in a room. My biggest competition for your attention is your phone or your computer that's sitting in front of you, and maybe your neighbor, which is why I never do that turn to your neighbor thing. That's a terrible idea. Also, they didn't come to hear their neighbor talk. They came to hear us talk. So that's like a whole different thing. But now in the virtual world, I'm competing with every single thing you have to do in your life. So that is doing your taxes, petting your dog, homeschooling your children, doing the laundry, starting the dishwasher, running downstairs to get more coffee. Oh, and on the way, I could put that away. Oh, on the way, the doorbell rings. Oh, on the way, there's a phone call. Oh, my mom needs me. All of these distractions, and they're real world issues. But right now, we as leaders have to cut through the chaff. We have to make it very, very clear to our people what we need them to do and when we need to do it by. So I talked about my email system. When I get my team trained, they know that when they send an email, and this just might be a very quick tip for your people, in the subject header, we use that. So instead of, hey, Mary checking in, that is the world's worst email. It is the subject, napkins for event, then dash. And we use an action word in the beginning. I use DICE. So DICE is decide, information, coordinate, or execute, or act. DICA does not sound like a great acronym. So we use DICE. DICA. But some people don't like the word execute. So we mostly use the word act. But DICE is decide, information, coordination, and act or execution. So the very first word is decide. So I know if somebody sends me that from my team or one of my clients, because my clients all use it too, decide. I need to decide on something because I'm holding up the rest of the team. Information is, hey, FYI, you can look at it. That means that's something that's an email I can read later with wine. I don't have to focus too hard on it. Coordination is there's other people involved, so I need to pay attention, and that's going to be a reply all. Action or execute is something that my team needs from me. So it might be decide napkins by Friday, the 30th of October. And then so these three things. So I know exactly what my action is. I know the topic. I'm like, okay, napkins, kind of important, not really, but I know I've got the deadline, and it's in the subject keywords because most of us use our phone to get through our emails. So I know if it's one of those things, it's from my team and I've got to take action on it, which means I need to be on the computer. I need to make sure I look at it. And then we use really the Air Force uses it best. I hate to say that, but they do, but it's called BLUF, bottom line up front. So the first sentence isn't, hey, Rick, it was so great to be with you on the podcast. Can't wait till it comes out. Really hope that your listeners get the resources at productiveleaders.com. Can't wait to do this. Send me the link when it's ready. No, BLUF. Rick, send me the podcast link when it's ready. We will put it in our newsletter. Boom. And then underneath that, Rick, it was so great catching up with you. I always like talking with you. We get to track the same military mindset. We get to talk fast, move fast, work fast. Just love being with you. Got lots of great energy. Can't wait to see you face to face. Wish we were next door neighbors. Much love, Mary. See, so you're going to get all that, but it's not going to be in the first line, because what we want is when we want people to take action, we have to make it clear to them. So the very first line, BLUF, bottom line up front, is the first sentence in emails. And this allows your people to know very clearly what your expectations are. They got the deadline, they know the topic, and they know what they have to do it. And this streamlines information.
Yeah, and it's the executive summary right there. You know, when you're giving briefings, when I would give briefings to my clients, here's the report, boom, executive summary. What's the CEO look for? He reads those three sentences or those three paragraphs. That's all I want. He's not going to go through the data. He doesn't really care how you got there. He just knows he wants to know what are the results and what's your overview, what's the information I need to do, and then, what is your recommendation moving forward? And so I love using that acronym, the military acronym BLUFF. Bottom line up front, get it done. Here it is. Because I'm all about roll up your sleeves and get to work. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm the bottom line guy.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to implement this with your team, call me and I'll give you the cheat sheet, because otherwise you start doing this and you haven't trained your team on it. They think you're being rude. They think you're being abrupt. And when I got out of the military after 25 years, I had to learn how civilians talked, which was a lot more words than I was used to. So my older brother, his wife, my husband, my younger sister, her husband, my younger brother, we're all military. We all talk in short, choppy sentences. And my younger brother's wife, who's a school teacher, and my God, do we need her in our lives? She said, well, y'all are so mean to each other. And we're like, no, we're not. No. Because, well, you don't say all these words. So when I travel, and this is the example I give people, we don't say all the words because we don't have to. It is implied. When I fly to Dallas, I don't send the text message, and we text every single day. I don't send the text message back that says, hey, everybody, got to Dallas. So excited about eating some great Mexican foods, having some great margaritas with my friend Rick. Going to be such a great visit. Just want to let you know I landed safely. Hope you're having a great day. Love you. No, 6 letters. SOD on an aircraft carrier is safe on deck. That means you cut the wire, you walked away, safe on deck. That's it. Any landing you can walk away from, Rick, is a what?
Is a good one.
It's a good landing. That's exactly right. So it's SOD, DFW, or DAL. Am I at Dallas Fort Worth or am I at Love Field? That's it. And everything else is understood. I don't have to say, can I have a great time? Mexican food. They all know all that. I don't have to repeat it. SOD, 6 letters. SOD, DFW, says everything.
I love that. That's it. And like your family, my family's all military as well. In fact, my brother's coming here on Friday. He's coming from California. He's coming to visit me, and he's one of your classmates at the academy. And that's it. We just got it. Roger, done, heard. My son-in-law. Now, the restaurant business is similar. There's similarities to the military because it's get stuff done, not what you're working on when you're serving, but back at the house. He says to me, always says, I said, Des, could please pick up package at house? Something came to the house, please pick up a package. He says, heard.
Right. Copy.
Heard. Roger. Copy. Whatever his word, restaurant they use, heard, because I heard you, which means I'm not going to bump into you. She said, I'm going to go get it. I'm going to get it done. Yeah. It's bottom line up front. Heard, done. And I know it's done.
It's their version of II. II means I heard you and will comply. It does not mean I necessarily agree with you, like left full rudder, 048. So II, which means I'm going to do it, even though, and I can push back and I go, II, pardon me, Captain, you realize there's an iceberg over there. But II means I heard you and I will comply. So in my family, we use that sarcastically. Like if somebody is very directive and we're like, really a little bossy today, or we'll go, aye, sir. And we mean it with all the sarcasm possible.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's great. So, hey, I know you got a lot of stuff going on. You got some new wine clients, I think, going on. So you were recently honored with another award, another designation, the CPAE. That's a speaker. For those that are listening, that's the National Speaker Association Speaker Hall of Fame. Congratulations. So tell me a little bit about that. And how does that make you feel when your peers vote you in?
Well, it is really humbling. And it kind of is like that line of Miss Congeniality, it's such an honor just to be nominated. And it truly is, because there's only 255 people in the club. And it includes President Ronald Reagan and Colin Powell and really the bigwigs in our industry. And so then all of a sudden you get inducted. You're like, really? I am? So it's very humbling, and it gives you more, like any honor. Now all of a sudden you have to be a little bit more responsible. So now I feel like I have to be a little bit more responsible. That probably won't last long, but it's quite the honor. And
like a special key or something.
There's your own room. That's what I said. Where's the hazing and what happens next? And is there an initiation? Like what happens next? But everybody's been really lovely. So thank you.
That's wonderful. Congratulations to that. I mean, that's really an honor, and it's a testament to the hard work that you've done in your career. And I just love that. And I love having you as a friend, and love having you out there speaking on leadership and what you're doing with the lives that you get to change, Mary. So I would be remiss. Is there anything that you want to promote for yourself? business, new books, what's coming out. Anything you'd like to share with the folks that are listening and watching?
Two things. Many organizations are struggling with challenge, change, and crisis. And I co-authored a book called Who Comes Next? Leadership Succession Planning Made Easy, which essentially says all of the positions in your organization are important and you have to plan for the succession of those positions, which means making sure those people can get promoted, making sure that you've got a pipeline, and treating your people like you would a sales pipeline, making sure you've got the right talent coming in so that when the leader leaves, because it's going to happen, that the organization doesn't suffer. And there's resources on that totally free called Who Comes Next? I'm very excited about my latest, which is, it's called 12 Months of Business Growth Resources. And it maps out the business plan, and it's really short, but it's all forms and things like that on what you need to do to make 2021 a better year than 2020. I know, not going to be hard, but for many people, they're just frozen in, I know, they're frozen into inactivity. And this is the guide forward. It's on my website. It's very cheap and it comes with an online vault. And this is what I'm using with all of my coaching clients to set them up for success in 2021. And then, third one. So productiveleaders.com/free has my productivity sheets, my business plan, all the things that I've been using my website as a cloud for before there was a real cloud, just because I needed a storage place. And it's totally open. There's no password. There's nothing silly about it. And it's totally free for your listeners.
Good. Awesome. Well, that'll be tagged down below. Folks, look below if you're watching the video, and those listening, it's productiveleaders.com/free. So you can get that. And I recommend doing it. So, Mary, one thing we always do here at the Bald Truth Leadership Podcast is I have 3 questions I always like to ask my guests. They're the Bald Truth questions because I believe that they uncover who we are. We've heard your philosophy, and it's your philosophy, and you practice it, you know it. But I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Do it.
That's kind of what I do. So here's one of the number one question. If you get to hold a dinner party, you were able to hold a dinner party for 6, yourself included, and you get to invite 5 people. Here's the caveat. Those 5 people can be anyone in all of history, alive or dead. The only caveat is they can't have not been born yet. So you can't I want my great-great-grandchildren. I want to know them. Nope. They have to be either alive or dead. In all of history, what 5 people would you invite for dinner?
So I'd have 2 parties, and first it would be
you get 2 parties. Wait a minute.
I know. I changed the rules. If it's imaginary, I can change the rules. And it would be my siblings and my parents because I adore my family, and that would be 6 people. But if I had to pick, it would be Sir Thomas More, who showed great courage and moral fortitude. It would be the best boss I ever had in the military, who is General Tom Fields. He's an Army guy. He's still alive. He lives in Alabama. It would be Nelson Mandela because he not only understood forgiveness, he actually practiced it. And I'm really still not sure how he managed to do that. It would be Thomas Jefferson because he wrote all that stuff without spell check and a computer and in much better handwriting than I ever got from the nuns in Catholic school. And then Colonel Lee Ellis, who is still alive. He was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. He's one of my favorite people. He lives in Georgia. He's a motivational leadership speaker as well. And we can't do enough for those guys. We just can't.
Amen.
And they're the real heroes. People are often, we throw around the word hero today and we do it pretty lightly, and that bothers me. No, those guys were the real deal. So it would be those 5.
Amen. Excellent. Great choices. So article number 2, an article's being written about Mary after you're gone. We all have our expiration date. We all know that. What's the title? Not what's in it, but what's the title?
Loved dogs and wine and did everything possible to facilitate both. Excellent.
Good. So finally, what do you do each morning to set yourself up for success?
I drink my bulletproof coffee, which is a couple shots of espresso with heavy cream and sugar-free sweetener, which sounds awful, but you get used to it. And I have a couple cups of coffee, and I look hard at the calendar for the week. I look at anything I have to do. And honest to God, I do my productivity sheets every single morning. I wake up and do the productivity sheets to make sure that I am on track for the day. I'm not missing something, and that my time is prioritized.
I love that because great leaders and successful people all begin their days with the end in mind. They know what they want to have happen. They begin with that end in mind. And that's exactly what you do. So Mary, thank you so much. That's been a great time. I mean, I've had so much fun talking with you. We're going to have to do it again. So how can people get in touch with you? If they want to reach out, how are they get in touch with you?
So as you know, I can usually be found around dogs and wine, but they can find me online at mary@productiveleaders.com, because who wants an unproductive leader? mary@productiveleaders.com. Would love to hear from anyone in your audience.
Excellent. You'll see the link down below. Reach out for Dr. Mary Kelly. I'm sure she'll put you into the DICE category somewhere. Make sure you use that, folks. Use the DICE acronym, and she'll know if she needs to take action or make a decision. That's perfect. So thanks for being with us, Mary. I appreciate you. You have been listening to the Bald Truth Leadership Podcast with Coach Rick of the Peak Performance Group, the company that helps people and organizations maximize their potential. If you're looking for a way to grow your organization, whether it's sales, strategic planning, the Peak Performance Group coaches, we can help you. We can help you grow using our proven business acceleration system. You can call us at 817-748-7425 or visit us on the Wild World Web, the World Wide Web. Yeah, www.mypotentialplus.com, and we'll connect you with the right coach. Remember to subscribe. Remember to like. We're available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, iTube, all the good stuff. Hit like and subscribe so you get every episode. Folks, I'm Coach Rick, and that's the Bald Truth.